Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is GrumpyKoi, and welcome to week 3 of ETF2L season 30. But I'm not alone. I'm joined, bit of a change. I'm joined by Beta on production and Cornpop as my co-caster. How you doing, Cornpop?
I'm doing quite well. Getting ready to watch some European TF2 SVIFT versus the Bin. This is an exciting one.
Yeah, just before the game, we were talking about some of the players. SVIFT being a team that's kind of filled of some old veterans of TF2, especially ETF2L. And then we've got the Bin, who have a lot of players that have stuck together for a really long time in comparison to a lot of other teams. And that's actually the Bin that used to be Low Panda. So we've got some few players on there.
And we got a couple of interesting maps here. Usually it's just kind of maps, alright, whatever. But we've got Gullywash up first, and then Cardinal coming out for the second map, which is a map, obviously, that all leagues are trying out, or at least this one and ESEA in North America are trying out for the first time. So it'll be interesting to see how that one plays. I could see some upsets happening on that one.
Yeah, it's kind of a bit of it's almost like a product style map where anything can really happen because it's not kind of engraved into our minds like Gullywash product or Snakewater is. So you can see that some of these teams will have opportunities to do some really curveball things. We know players like Mookie is not afraid to experiment. So seeing what he's going to come up with is going to be really interesting for me.
I think it's going to be a lot towards just maybe less so who's the better team and just who's been practicing on that map more. If one of these teams has been sort of slacking, hasn't really put a whole lot of time into it, or hasn't been able to put a lot of time into it, that could be a map that maybe throws them off guard. But of course, first off is Gullywash, and Gullywash is a map that both teams should be very, very familiar with. And yeah, do you have any predictions to go through here? Because I know SVIFT are generally one of the top teams in Europe.
Yeah, well, I would say that I believe it's going to be both maps to SVIFT, but that's just based on the games prior. Like, in my opinion, the Bin have had much easier players to go against teams with. They first went against. Oh, who was it? I know they played the Bus Crew and they beat them. I'll just have a quick dive in to see what the other team they faced, but SVIFT actually took us 6 points away from Ascent, which is another team that came second last year. It is a new reform team, but still they're not noobs of Prem. They're very experienced players.
Yeah, and I mean, to give credit to the other team, I mean, the Bin, they got a lot of players I recognize. Looks like mostly Low Panda players from seasons past and from lands past, so certainly they're not going to roll over. This is a very formidable team coming up against SVIFT, and I think they can get a couple of rounds off here. I'm hoping that they will, because I want to see a good match here.
Yeah, like I say that I think both maps are going to go to SVIFT. I don't think it's going to be like nice and easy for them. They're not just going to get free points. But we're actually live with this game, so we'll get things set up on the first mid, and it looks like Smearo's a little quicker than Ratslayer. Oh, they just arrived at the same time. Mookie on top of the point. Really quite a quick jump from him. And we got a pause straight away. So that was intense and then stopped straight away.
we almost started the game.
We almost.
We wanted to. Alright, well, how's this mid looking to start things off? Who do you think is the very early advantage?
I'd say it's actually would be down to the Bin because there's a lot of damage onto the soldiers of SVIFT, but actually Smearo goes down as well as Mookie. Actually, a lot of players going down for both teams. It looks pretty close, but now 2 players left for the Bin. Mr. Epic trying to escape, and Champagne gets picked up. And yeah, that's the first mid going to SVIFT. I need to restart my TF2. 1 second.
Yeah, alright. I mean, that was, it looked like it was going in favor of the Bin, as you were kind of talking about, but then there was some really good rat plays coming out from SVIFT. Managed to come up the drop down and just clean things off with Chris, and he managed to get the last 2 frags, making every single player on the Bin die in that middle fight. They're always, already always back on last. It is 6 alive, 100% Uber charge advantage. Gonna be pushing this last point. Are you back?
Yeah, I'm back in the game. But yeah, Smearo watching the lower area. They're looking like they're stacking up for some sort of play onto point. A lot of players like to sack a a scout behind to bait point before they go in. But it looks like they're coming into Shutter with this Uber ad. Nice denial from the Pyro, but Pred actually goes down to Smire in the end. And there's a lot of players. Pappy joins the rest of the combo on the right-hand side, but they haven't pushed too far onto point. Mr. Epic on that heavy. Pootus Man seeing if he can slow people down. And it's not looking too good for Swift. They need to really start edging onto that point. They've got a little bit of time, but not too much. But they managed to get 2 players. But Champagne gets the saw, but no. Time goes on the point, and Swift take the first round, Cornpop.
That was a really great slow push in the last. The Pyro was there, they took their time, they killed the Pyro. They wasted their whole Uber, the Uber fades. Then they focus the Soldier in behind. It's another 1v6, they get that frag. Then they focus, I believe it was another Soldier who was fighting them sort of aggressively, and they get that another 1v6 kill. And a really clean push for the first round on the board.
Yeah, we're coming into the second mid, and both teams are ready to go at each other. We've got both Red Soldiers actually down on the lower gun. Uber's taking a lot of damage, goes down to Samzy, and the jump goes up from Chris, but he gets denied instantly. But not noticing that Pappy was behind, picking up Champagne, and only 2 players left for the bin. Pred and Mookie not in a good position. Smire gets a nice pipe onto Mookie. Ooh! Pred gets crafty, goes on to Connor, sees if he can get anything. Connor's super low. But Connor manages to get that kill, and it's another mid going to Swift. Well, actually, it's not over yet. Respawners are back, but I think they'll be able to keep this for themselves.
Yeah, they should be able to get this. I don't know, they're still kind of poking in on the side of the bin, but there he goes, being capped off. A mid was really good from the flankers, but unfortunately the rest of the team couldn't quite hold it down on the side of the bin, and they all just sort of died. But already we see that Swift are working their way into the second point. They don't want to give any room. You can see that the Doman's taking a whole lot of damage. There goes Mookie, though, so that's 1 player down on the defense, and they will try to make it out. Pred will not be so lucky. He's in a really rough spot here. He's probably going to go down there. He will die. So now they're already pushing, like, sort of in the last there, and they've gotten aggressive in the lobby. 3 left alive on the defensive side, and they're able to lose this last point if they're not careful.
Yeah, and they're coming in on the right side of last. They get a lot of damage with the right Slayer, but nice serve from him, but time's already on the point from Smire, and they manage to take the second round to Swift. Oh, it is looking very one-sided right now. It seems to be all based on these mids. Little mistakes coming out of the bin actually mean that Swift can kind of capitalize that and get straight on their last without much sort of stopping or aggression on second for them.
Yeah, it's been 2 very fast rounds so far. They really need to do something to stop this, or else they're going to just get 5-0'd very quickly. Mookie with a pretty high bomb, but immediately gets shut down. That leaves only 5 left alive on the side of the bin. There is 1 player, Chris, going in behind. If they can turn around and deal with him, this could be good for them, but that's just going to open the entire team to push right across point. They're going to get a whole bunch of frags. Only Pred and Champagne left alive, trying to make it back out, and they will get their scout to die, and there goes Champagne as well. Chris and Mixam, the only 2 players to die. Oh no.
Pappy killed himself to 4 damage. Good job, Pappy. But yeah, looks like they're stacking out to go into last. They know they've got that Uber advantage, but there are Ubers kind of a bit far forward, just spamming away. Ubers and Mookie probably trying to get that early force out of Swift, but yeah, they decide to back up. They know that they've recouped as a team, and it is equal. They'll be needed for that last push from Swift.
Up on Sniper, Pred on Pyro as well. I mean, this push is going to be hard to hold on. They've failed at it twice, but not impossible. Here they come popping in through Shutter. The Pyro dropping down, but not really fast enough to stop anybody through that Shutter. He's just going to flank in behind. He will get taken down by Sandy. It's not a great Pyro play by him. That's 2 down now, as Mookie is also going to fall to Crafty, so there's already a 4v6 advantage. They will lose their demo man, but they're getting so aggressive on this left-hand side, dealing all the damage they need to. Medic's being focused, but it doesn't really matter. They just got to get the 1 demo man in behind. He's going to get him. Oh my god, he's getting every frag. He got 4. He gets all 5.
Oh my god, that's a white.
Wow, that was the most amazing demo defense I've seen in a long time.
I was counting Rat Slayer out. I was like, no, he's going to get collapsed upon. He manages to get... Was that 5 kills? 4 kills?
That was
something
5.
like that. Oh. Jesus. Like, really good push from Swift. And Rat Slayer comes back with a really good clutch. And Chris pushing forwards across the point, seeing if he can catch any players out. Smire getting forced out by both the scouts. Chris caught in, ends up going down. Smire overextends to try and do something. And only 2 players left for Swift. And the bid can look like they can take mid and actually get out of their last.
Swift just looks so lost after that failed push. It's like they don't even know what happened. They just bled a few players needlessly there. I mean, Smear definitely didn't need to die. You saw the scout once, should have just ran away, and then he pushed him a second time. So, I mean, now they're really on the retreat with us. Well, pretty much even Uber charges. They might be able to contest on the second, but they're going to lose Crafty, and this is just so much aggression coming up the bin. Ratslayer going down. There's actually quite a few frags being exchanged here, but with 3 down, this could be the last point getting capped off in favor of the bin.
Yeah, they're looking like they want to go straight in now. They're going to use the Uber kind of late, and they managed to get in, but the exchange has happened, which means that Uber's exactly what I thought he was going to do. Tries to bait point, get players away. Mr. Epic gets a nice pick. They've got a lot of time onto the point. Mookie comes in to support the team, but only a few players left. Some in secret, some looking for opportunities. Mr. Epic is still alive. I thought he went down, and he's pressuring Smear. They've got a nice separation of point, and now they're able to get it, and that's the first round on the board for the bin.
That was a really risky push. I didn't actually think they were going to be able to get that, but managing to come in there, that's really risky when there's respawners up and both teams have overcharge, because the defending team can kind of just stall until they get those respawners. The respawners came, but they still managed to die, and point going in favor. It's 2-1 still for the Swift, though.
And on this fourth mid, both demos, very similar sort of time frame, and a lot of damage onto both big doors, but Smear nearly goes down, saved by Samzy, which was really nice. Mookie jumping across the point, gets denied by both Crafty and Samzy there. He gets picked up, and there's 2 players down for both teams though. Oh! The double pipe from Smear gets both Champagne and Ratslayer, and I think that's going to turn everything in favour of Swift with those frags.
Just need to kill Mr. Epic, and there he goes down to Crafty. So that was all kind of a combination of the damage from Smear, and in the flank, I believe it was Chris, sort of collapsed in onto these players and shut it off. It was a 4-on-4 before that, but after you lose 2 players like that, it's pretty much donezo for your middle. Once again, I mean, a very decisive mid. We seem to see this time and time again, always in favor of Swift. I don't know if they've lost Connor on a mid yet. I don't believe so. So with 100%, they're looking to get into last one more time. Mr. Epic on Sniper, going to try to make a miracle happen.
Yeah, and they're going to go through main on this. They Uber on to Smear. Smear gets denied really nicely by the Heavy, gets directed, and then ends up dying to Preds Pudis. And this is a fair push from Swift. They can't really do anything from that. Nice denial. And they're going to have to back off into second and hope they can maybe hold off, catch Champagne off guard. But things are looking in advantage for the bin right now.
Yeah, they're already getting in on the second. They gotta watch out for Poppy, who's getting a little bit aggressive, and Crafty will explode over by the choke, taken down by Ubers. So with that one scout going down, they will choose to back off to that middle point. And still trading a few frags, actually. Chris and Mookie both gonna end up going down, but that's just a couple of soldier frags, so nothing super devastating for either team. 70% on Connor, so they might try to hold on, but could back up here too.
Yeah, I think they're gonna try and get some sort of force out of the bin, just to not let them take that into second. And like, Smear really wants to stay in and just deal some damage onto Champagne, but decides to back out, which is the best decision really there, because even if they got the force, they could risk losing players, and the after Uber exchange, or getting caught before Connor doesn't have the Uber, would be really quite crucial for Swift.
Now we have evened out to 100% on both medics. And we're going to probably just be sitting here looking at choke, looking at big door, middle to second. And of course, still only 2-1 for Swift, so I mean, a lot of time on the points, a lot of room for the bin to make something happen. They kind of can take their time with this. They don't got to be too worried, and they are in the driver's seat. So basically just waiting on something from them. But already, I mean, Chris is pretty aggressive in that big door too. So nice to see that Swift aren't just going to sit there and wait for something to happen.
No, I think they're going to look at making some sort of opportunity. Just that the problem with stalemates is it's just constantly teams are just trying to find a little weakness, that little point to exploit. Like maybe someone's not looking in the right place or anything like that. But
yeah, for sure.
But Mookie actually taking a lot of damage in choke may get picked up. He gets reduced to only 39 health. But again, we're going to be back in the stalemate. What do you think the bin need to do to really break this stalemate?
Well, I mean, you could try to get somebody in behind through big door, you work them in through lobby, but of course you need to kind of make some space there, probably with your combo or something that'll leave your choke a little bit exposed. So, you know, that's one way you could take it. If you're getting a little impatient, you could even just Uber in through choke once you see a good timing. Mookie gonna choose to bomb through choke and really not getting a lot. Actually, get the force out of Connor. Okay, he dies there, but it's exactly what he was looking for. Now they run in through choke, and Champagne has to pop in kind, but it's gonna be a much better Uber charge. They're able to just run in onto the second point. If they can get Connor, this would be a big Uber charge for them. They're not gonna be able to get that one. In fact, they're gonna lose Ratslayer as well to Poppy, who is just sort of kiting on that Uber charge, and now Mr. Epic going down. This is all a disaster for the bin. They need to get out, and Champagne will not be able to live here. That leaves only 2 soldiers left alive. One of them's Mookie all the way back on the middle point, so it's just 1 soldier against the world. Ubers can't win. Mookie with a really nice shot on the smear, but does it matter? I don't think so.
Really well played by Chris there, jumping on top of choke, actually just denying anyone trying to exit, and that's how he picked up Champagne. And Champagne goes down to Samzy with a really aggressive play. That's more advantage for Swift. Mr. Epic wanted to get into a nice position to do the respawn snipe, but weren't able to. Connor's on his own in choke. Not sure what's happening. A lot of aggression out of Swift right now. Just looking to roll this all the way to last.
It is sad boy hours for the bin right now. They're going to try to hold on to the last against 100% Uber charge. Champagne currently sitting at 15%. They're building a gun up by Mr. Epic, but it's only level 1, and the push is already coming in through lower. They popped it off on the demo man. Gonna see that gun, and we'll be able to focus it down, but that's all they've gotten with this Uber charge. Ubers and Mookie as well sort of made their way in behind. Ubers will get taken down by Samzy. Mookie's still alive back there, though. Rocket cleans up Mr. Epic, and the strike's going all the way back and forth. It's only a 3-on-4 favoring the attackers. They got some point time. They gotta get Chris off of that. They will, but he's still alive, and he's still down. They're capping it off. Heavy can't make it in time. It's 3-1.
Bless. Pred did a lot of work to deny everyone who was coming through shutter there on the Pudis, but sadly for him, Chris was in the background, managed to win that last ditch 1v1 and capped it off for them. But yeah, the bin showing moments where they can definitely win some rounds. So we should be able to see something. And they look like they want to do a right mid right now as Mookie goes straight over the top. There's a lot of aggression onto Smire, but they need to start getting kills in their advantage. And Champagne goes down, Pred goes down, 3 players down. Only Chris actually dying for Swift. Mookie really low behind. Ends up just killing himself. Mr. Epic down, not before trading with Samzy. And that's a wipe for the bin.
That was such a fast mid fight in favor of the Swift. I think every single mid so far has gone in favor of the Swift. I mean, that one, you just lose your medic so early, and then you're not really expecting the resistance on the top right part where you're pushing forward. And yep, you're losing those fights, and you're going to get taken down. So, I mean, it is 100% still on Connor. We've seen this time and time again. Time and time again, the bin have failed to hold this, except for that one miracle play where the Devilman was able to hold on to it, Ratslayer. But we'll see. They're going to have another shot here.
And they're coming in right, but the gun's already up and denies the Uber quite nicely. They are... Ooh, it's very hard for them to take it down. Pred doing a lot of work to keep that alive. Mookie's actually on the heavy now for his team. That's not something that we don't see him do. He does love picking up the Putis, even sometimes going to mid. And he is doing a bit of work, but he's taking a lot of damage as well. They managed to pick up Pappy on a River, and they're going to be able to hold back this this last push and actually hopefully be able to push on second with full Uberad. They don't really want to use that though. That's gonna, if they're going to use that to get out into second, it's going to be really bad for the poor Pred.
That's always unfortunate, but you're right. I mean, they don't want to have to pop to get this second point because they're going to want to use it on another point, and they don't want to just get leapfrogged back and lose this point immediately. So it looks like they're not going to have to pop for it, but of course there wasn't a huge Ubercharge advantage. They took a whole long time to get out on the second point. So it is 100% from Connor already. You're not able to do much. And as you mentioned, Mookie coming to this mid fight, they are going to exchange, and they're banking on this heavy, but it's not going to do anything. Taken down by the headshot of Samzy. Meanwhile, the rest of the team have make it a 4-on-4, still pushing into this middle point. With that sniper on the board, he needs to hit more shots if he wants to be effective, and that's going to be one on a Mr. Epic. Now it looks like Ratslayer's in a whole lot of trouble, will get bombed down, and this is a complete disaster from the bin. Trying to do something with Pred as he gets in that big door, but cannot make it happen. Champagne, the last player left alive, In a 1v1,
Ooh.
is he actually going to live here? Oh, man.
Oh, Champagne, she manages to get out. That's really good.
The control point is being contested.
No, I thought she was dead to rights there with Chris standing up. And Mookie's still on that Putis, trying to just deny people coming into lobby, and not having him for the last push isn't going to be great, but there is still that 10% for Connor to actually pick up, so they may have time to get Mookie back in, only 4 seconds. So they are going to Uber in on right, no guns on, no heavy or anything to really deny, so they've got a lot of space here on behind point. Crafty taking down a nice player there. Chris actually helping out as well. He ends up going down, but he's done all the work he needs to. Mookie on the point on that Putis. Smeary and Crafty going down. And another failed push. I'm going to say, yeah, I'm going to call it failed push for Swift there.
So that one almost looked like it was going in their favor. They did have the kill advantage, but Swift were just so spread out by the time that Ubercharge was fading that they weren't going to win any of the fights. And you could tell that, like, Connor knew that. He was already backing out on the second at that point in time. So, I mean, smart from Swift to be able to keep their medic alive. That was a ballsy play from Samsy.
He was going for the hero shot in a pile of stickies. But, oh, Chris very far forward. Manages to get the force onto Champagne, though. And it means that Swift can back out with a 50% ad, and the bin aren't going to take that. And they go really aggressive, taking down Crafty, but Ratslayer goes down. Mookie down to Samsy once again, and that's going to be a bit of failed attempt from the bin. Nice attempt from Mr. Epic to stay alive, but now everything's back in advantage for Swift, and they're going to take mid for free off this.
Yeah, it was a great job by Pappy, just sitting up above that choke, hit really direct rockets onto that demo man, and took him down very early in that fight. So after that, it kind of all just crumbled. The medic was in a little bit of trouble, Connor, but he managed to survive. I don't think he hit any saws, but regardless, he didn't go down, so that's all that matters. Mookie's still on heavy in a 1v1 against Crafty. He's going to lose that one down below. Not really what he's looking for, but thankfully Pred will be able to exchange one onto Chris. But there goes two. Crafty and Smear both getting Mr. Epic and Ubers respectively. And the Uber charge already in this last point. Champagne just trying to stay alive, but not going to be possible at all. Ratslayer, he's done it once, but he can't do it twice. Will get taken down, and they haven't come second actually. So
I think Pred backcapped. Pretty sure he backcapped. I wasn't really paying attention to below, but I'm pretty sure that's actually what happened there.
Yeah.
That saved everything. That little backcap saved everything.
Now they've already, I mean, they've recapped the second point, but as you mentioned, it doesn't matter. The job was done. They didn't lose last. Now Mookie pushing aggressively out as Pyro, not working out for him. Spew some flames, but that's about it. And the backline's Pred also does get taken down, so now they've got a couple of options. They can go on the 4v6, well that's a little risky because the respawners could ruin their day. It looks like they're instead just going to wait for that Uber charge advantage. It's not huge, it's about maybe 25%, but getting Champagne early is going to make it 100.
Oh, really good work from Samsy, and they come in off launchpad and they're behind. They've got Ubers and Mookie just trapped behind the lobby. Ubers goes down, but Mr. Epic and Pred onto Smeary, may be able to take him down. Smeary really low health, but really nice dodges. He finally gets picked up by Mr. Epic. Chris going down to actually Champagne there, and Pappy just trying to hold it, being denied by Champagne there, but managed to pick her up. Mr. Epic for the last ditch gets picked up by Samsy, and that's 4-1. Lot of words there. Lot of words.
There sure were. I mean, it's getting to the point where it's going to be really tough for the bin to come back now. They got to get 3 rounds in 10 minutes to tie it up. Not impossible, but not easy either. Coming into this next mid-fight, Mookie will be on Sniper.
Okay, so we have seen this before in Low Panda, and Mookie can do a lot of plays on that Sniper during the mid-fight, but he's already been called out, and he's getting denied. Samsy actually onto him, so he's not going to be able to do that much because Samsy's going to clear him up. There we go. And the mid-fight, a bit of a ball going on for the bin, but Ratslayer goes down to a rocket from Pappy, and they're going to have to back out now. They've got 2 players left alive, excluding their medic, and they lose Ubers. That's only Pred and Champagne alive. Smeary went through Big Door picking him up, and that's going to be another mid, and really unfortunate for poor Bin there.
Yeah, at this point, they're really not happy about how things are going. Mookie's decided to play heavy and just hide. I think he's standing on like a vent right now. It looks like he's flying in the air if you're in third person. But he's just chilling out by the door that nobody's going to be walking through, except maybe Samsy. Most of the team coming up top right, popping that Uber charge off pretty late, which is nice. They're going to be able to take down that gun fairly easily. Not any kills just yet, but there's a few players in River that they can start focusing on. Now here's this Heavy they gotta be careful of. Get the frag on a smear, but there goes Fred as well. Champagne also does get taken down. It's still 3 on board. Connor in the back lines. Look at a saw, but dies for it regardless. That's gonna be a successful hold. Only 2 players left alive. Crafty's still in, but loses the 1v1 of the Heavy.
Mookie didn't actually move from that spot until after the last point happened. He just stuck there and started firing like crazy. It was good trigger discipline from him, actually. He waited for the Uber to fade, and he managed to surprise a lot of players. Now, Chris is actually on Spy right now, so he looks like he's in a good position to make a play onto Champagne if he can get out of Big Door, which he manages to do. But he needs to be quick about whatever he's going to do. He's on to Champagne now. He misses the backstab. Misses the backstab again. Results to shooting. What is this Irish boy doing? He manages to get the kill with a butter knife. But that was proper messy. But it does bring things back into advantage for Swift. And he does do the right thing as a pick pass, and players do get traded. Mr. Epic tries to go in but gets called out instantly, and Samsy manages to pick him up. And Swift coming back onto this midpoint, looking to go through Big Door and maybe even take second for the troubles.
Whatever you need to get the job done, as long as the med dies, it's fine.
Yeah, just the amount of stabs he missed then was beautiful.
And he missed the revolver shots as well. He was having a bad day. But
Ooh,
regardless,
getting picked up by Ratsayer's traps.
Coming into the lobby now, Mookie flanking his Heavy. The entire team's actually pushing into his last though, so he's not really going to be doing anything back there. They can get some point time. This could be really devastating, and they will be getting a whole bunch of point time. Now the Heavy's coming back in, and now actually everybody who got that point time is being completely clobbered on. There's still Chris and Crafty back down below, and there's only a scout facing them, so he can't deal too much damage, but will trade. Gets both of those frags, and that leaves just Poppy and Samsy still trying to fight this, but with a buffed Heavy, that's going to be too tough to call.
Yeah, they're gonna have to back out. Mookie just really wants to go for these top tier Heavy plays right now. He just wants to show you that what can be done with the Putis man. He doesn't want to be defined by standing just in front of spawn. And Pred actually getting picked up by Chris here, and that may be a little opportunity for Swift to actually do something. But Chris on that 2 health means that a lot of players really low. Pappy going down, and the bin pushing out into second. Smeare actually trapped in, but Samsy gets a nice body shot onto Champagne, gets that kill, again brings things back into advantage for Connor and his team. Mr. Epic too far forward, ends up getting picked off, but Ratslayer may be able to do something. Trap players behind, he gets caught by Crafty though, and that's not going to be too good. But the soldiers and Pred are in, and they still don't manage to get Connor. It's so unfortunate.
Yeah, that's the big thing there. They sacked so many players just dealing damage to Connor, and they almost got him, but it wasn't quite enough. Now Uber's in here all alone. Got the frag on a smear, but I mean, really, at that point, you've lost so many players. You just need to keep guys alive, and they've got 2 of them back on last. 3's Rat's player. Rat has respawned, so again, they're going to be trying to hold against 100% Uber charge advantage. Generally, this hasn't worked, but they've managed to hold a couple of times. Chris is in a little bit alone, and will he be able to get out? Yes, he will. With Fred and Uber's down, Uber's come up off that respawn, but this is going to be a 1-player advantage, 100% Uber advantage push. And there goes Ratslayer as well. Samsy hitting that headshot. Mookie over in River playing that Heavy class. They're just focusing frags at the moment, and it's working out pretty well for them, getting all 6. And going to be able to stay on that point. Nothing that Fred can do in a situation like that.
Yeah, really good push from Swift. A little bit of a weird position for Mookie to be in, going up River. I assume he was trying to make some sort of play around the back, but they were already being pushed by the time he was in there, so he wasn't able to do much. And they just got picked apart there. But yeah, 7th mid of the game. It is very much in favour of Swift. They may be able to bring it to cap times. It's definitely a sure win for them. So it's just what morale the bin can take from this.
At this point, I think, yeah, Mookie up again, once again on Sniper. Not working out. Samsy gets the frag onto him. 4 left alive for the bin on this midpoint. They're going to sack in for Connor, and they will get that. So great job by Ubers to be able to bomb in, get that kill. They may be looking good on this mid. It's a 2v2. Champagne just trying to keep alive Pred. Take down Poppy and Smear, the last 2 remaining players from Swift. They will get Poppy, and now it's just Smear the Demo Man. Probably not going to be looking too favorable up against a Scout and a Medic, but I guess when he's got stickies like that, he will. Can Champagne hit this Ubersaw? I mean, she's very low, back down below, gonna wait for the team, and still manage to survive. Chris, can he not get this frag? Somehow Champagne lives through that.
Really good sass from Champagne there. She managed to stay away from so much damage. And she actually like keeps things for a full advantage for themselves. So they should be able to get second off this. But there is a passive hold going up on battlements for Swift. They're looking like they want to try and force Champagne as much as possible, but they're going to back out as they just know that this bin team have got everything in advantage for them. But 30% left for Connor, so they need to do something quick. They need to cap this up and just get going.
They're coming in. There's a gun being built up. It just got up to level 2. And they're in through Shutter. Haven't popped off just yet. Pretty late pop, that's nice. But they did lose Mookie already in this push. So they're down a man to start things off. And Connor has his Uber charge. So this is not looking too favorable. They do have the heavy up as well. Sandsy over there. Mr. Epic in a 1v1 over in River and will lose that to Chris. And this is pretty much just everybody dying as they push into the last.
Yeah, that was very messy from the bin. They lost as soon as they lost their advantage and Connor had it. That was just game over for that push. There, they came out the right side really well and they managed to pick up players. But Pred having a little battle in the lobby as well as Champagne actually getting picked up by Samsy there, and a lot of players all over the place for the bin once again. But Mr. Epic looking like he may be trying to pick up a player or something like that. Mookie went for a sack, ends up getting picked up. Uber's down as well. A wipe for poor old bin, and they're not going to be able to get that point back for themselves.
Yeah, so much happening in that last fight, spread across all of second and all of last. You had back caps, you had a nice opening being found by Sandsy to look at the frag onto Champagne, and in the end, all that really matters is that this middle point is being pushed in on, and that's family business heavy coming out from Pred. We'll see how that works out for him. So far, one player's gone down on each side. It's both a soldier. There goes Smear as well with Mr. Epic. Bombing in now. The Ubercharge was popped off by Connor. They're sort of chasing people out. Still fighting on middle is Mr. Epic in the 1v1 against Crafty. He's on pretty low HP. Oh my god, Pred.
Got Connor.
Whoa. That's going to be a big, probably the biggest family business play I've ever seen. I'm gonna lie.
Yeah, and there's a lot of messy fights right now. Mookie having a fight in choke with Pappy, manages to pick him up. Really low health for Mookie though, so he's going to wait for the rest of his team to come in. And mid's going to stay pretty much. No, it looks like there's not enough players back for Swift, and the bin are in on mid. Sandsy winning a 1v1 with Pred there. Actually, no, it looks like Smeary came in and saved the day, but it doesn't matter as they managed to get this mid.
Yeah, so holding on. Maybe it's those heavy strategies that are working out for him. Onto the second point already. About even Uber charges. Chris up on Sniper, maybe ruining someone's day. We'll have to wait and find out. But no off classes on the attacking team, which is surprising from what we've seen so far from them. But I guess this is one of the few times we've seen them on the offense. They're coming in through Shutter, and there's actually a crit scrape being popped off by Champagne and Ratslayer. Oh, that was beautifully played. Now they got to get back to last, though, to make sure nobody caps on that last point. Uber's got a little bit of time onto it, but he will get piped down by Smear, and now that just leaves two scouts over in River trying to just survive. Mr. Epic jumping around Connor and not going to get that frag. Sandsy shuts him down. Underneath, Fred also eats a pipe from Smear.
Yep, and that's going to be this match. Only 1 second left on the timer. 5 points to, well, 5 rounds to Swift and 1 round to the bin. Well, that was fun. That was interesting. some really funny plays, really entertaining plays from Ubers and sorry, not Ubers, Mookie and Pred. But can't say they did too bad. Like, there were a lot of opportunities that the bin took that arguably they shouldn't have got. So it was really good that they pushed for those. But Swift were just playing such a better game.
Yeah, that's the gist of it. I don't like to call games complete rolls, and it wasn't. You know, there were times where the bin looked strong, but for the majority of that game, it was kind of all in favor of Swift, and that's unfortunate. But sort of what we were expecting from that map, from Gullywash. You know, it being one of the more familiar maps. If anything, though, I think this next map is more promising.
I think that little bit of chaos may be something that the bin thrive off, especially when they were a low panda. Product was one of their, staple maps. Like Mookie able to just go and have fun on his off classes. But we actually have logs on stream right now, and I'm not too surprised. Like a lot of damage going to Smeare, Pappy, Samzy. Samzy actually getting 41 kills during that game. So yeah, exactly, to 14 deaths, which that makes sense. Like Samzy was doing a lot of work, whether it was sniping, whether it was just cleaning up damage for his team. And I think it's you can only kind of briefly look at logs when it's something as one-sided as a 5-1, because obviously it's going to be all in favor of red team on this because they won. They were playing a much better game. But Mr. Epic not doing too bad for himself as well. Surprising that. But one tell is the difference between Champagne and Connor. Like you can just see the difference. Assists with Connor are much higher, especially that Kritzkrieg was nuts, even though it's last, and only 6 deaths for Connor versus 19 for Champagne. Like I think this is Champagne's debut playing Prem, so it is going to be difficult against the old Nunya medic of Connor, but no drops. Oh my god, the Uber difference though. 6 Ubers for the bin, but 17 Ubers and 1 crits for Swift there.
Yeah.
So they had a lot more to work with. But
that's triple Ubers for Connor.
Yeah, but I think like Champagne did have a really hard time. Like she did some really good moments where she surfed damage and kept herself alive, but like Chris was always going up drop down during the mids. Like she died, I think, every single mid, pretty much, and that's obviously going to affect your stats because as soon as they won mid a few times, they just went straight on to last. It was only during sort of the last, after the third one, when they Swift conceded, it did kind of become a little bit easier, but it was due to some of the plays I saw from Mookie there. So I've just rattled on about the logs there. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Is interesting. One thing I do want to say about these logs, I mean, if you look at the midpoints, every single one except for that last one, which was kind of like a who cares, right? Every single one won by Swift. So if there's one thing that they can go back and look at, and there's a lot of things, the thing can at least try to focus up and tighten up their mid fights.
Yeah, you actually see on the frags by zone 70 frags in the midpoint, which doesn't really surprise me. Like, especially like the mids. Like I did say on the first one that it looked like Pappy and Chris were out of position, but they actually just timed themselves really perfectly just to wait, just to see where players were going to be, and then jumped on that. But now we're on to Cardinal, the second map, the curveball, and just when we go into this rollout, I just want to mention something that I don't like about this map. The team on red have an advantage because they're closer to the right side spawn door when they spawn. And most teams roll out through right, so that's a bit strange.
Okay, you can see that pretty much everybody except for Smeare. Smeare did roll out left here on the red team. He took a lot of damage because of it, having to back off immediately to his team, but he gets healed back up and he's not going to die too early in this mid fight. Here goes Chris bombing right in behind the enemy teams, but it's Uber's the first one to fall, and there goes Ratslayer as well. It's completely going in favor of Swift right now. They're getting every single frag. Crafty on a 3K with that mid.
That was just really unfortunate. All those players around Fountain just got bunched up and collapsed upon by the Swift players. And I do feel sorry for the bin there because they just got neatly packaged together and then just destroyed by the rest of Swift. But again, full Uber ad on this last point. Now this last point can be really kind of messy to attack. There's like a lot of places to come from, but there's a lot of advantage for the defending team. So we should see. Yeah, it looks like they're coming up on the left hand side. Smeare going on top of the crate. The rotate has come out, but there's a lot of slow push coming out of Swift, but they're not able to really get any frags or get anything in position. They're all on the lower points now. They managed to pick up Mookie, but They're gonna have to back out after using that. They start baiting for point, which is really nice, and they push people back, and they're gonna take the first last, just with positioning there mainly.
Yeah, they probably should have lost that push in. I mean, the Uber charge really got nothing at all. They sort of walked in, got a little bit of point time, and that was about it. But then they just kind of stayed for the post-Uber fights and managed to win it. So, I mean, props to them for being able to use DM and positioning to win that fight rather than any distinct advantage.
Like, there was a point where a lot of Swift were actually in the lot. Ratslayer getting picked up straight away by Smeary with that left rollout. And Mookie tries to go for a mean spoof and gets picked up by Smeary as well. And Uber's skyboxed. He's going to go down. Gets picked up by an arrow from Connor. Nice air shot from him. But they actually lose Smeary to that. And Pred in the background ends up getting picked up by both Crappy and Samsy. But,
cute little couple name.
Yeah. Have I accidentally shipped these players? Oh
It's
god.
confirmed now. Make your fan art.
Oh, what have I done? This is not good.
Well, the second point being capped off. What's also not good, this match so far for the bin. They're having a really rough time. At least they kept Champagne alive, though. I'll give them that. That might be the first time across both maps that Champagne has lived through a mid.
I don't think so. There was another time.
Okay,
there was another timeline.
Alright,
but yeah,
right.
it's not. It should be more than once. Is the main important thing there. But Chris actually going in and gets picked up by Mookie on the engineer, and the Uber has been exchanged by Champagne, but they're not able to force Connor. So Connor's going to come back in with a much better Uber if they're able to go forwards, but Spiro kind of waiting and not really able to use that Uber at all. A little bit of disorganisation and chasing from Swift there, and we may see, you know, they managed to pick up Samsy as well. Pred going down to Pappy though, so that may slow them. But they look like they really want to go out. A lot of damage on the Ratslayer. Smiro picking him up. And Chris goes straight in, seeing if he can pick anything up. He ends up going down. Oh, Mr. Epic coming down from lobby and picks up both Connor and Smire. And this should be a good opportunity. Oh no. When did Champagne go down?
This has been so hectic. Players all over the map being caught in shutter doors and Uber charges being exchanged at really bad times. 1v1 just went down. Pred getting the better of Crafty with that pistol. There's a player up on last, and it is Samsy. He managed to get a couple of frags before finally getting cleaned up. Now it's a bomb in by Pappy. Won't get anything except for himself. And they're still not done pushing. They just want this last point. They've gotten a lot of damage down onto Ubers despite the fact that they have lost Smear. And now Connor's in a little bit of trouble as well in 1v1 against Mr. Epic. Likely won't win this one unless he's saved by Smear.
Dodge.
Mr. Epic needs to hit one shot, just one shot, and he's suddenly now focusing players that aren't the medic, and he's having to back off very little HP. He will also be saved by his team. A lot of fighting going on, but it has moved all the way back to second, so it's no longer the danger zone, and this will be Samsy getting taken out by the engineer. Chris as well gets cleaned up by the pipes, and oh man, this is all going in favor of the bin, getting a couple of frags, and that leaves just Smear and Poppy left alive and running for the hills.
Yeah, Mr. Epic finally getting his man, but Connor, with some of those sidesteps he's doing whilst fighting against Mr. Epic, was actually ridiculous. Like I don't know if that an accurate representation. Oh, I can't say that word, but I could see the bullets flying past Connor, and they were so close on that pistol when he had like 5 health. But yeah. Not too great for Swift though. They are currently holding their second, but Uber advantage for Champagne, but she does take a lot of damage and is forced really early. Ratslayer wants to go in, gets denied by Samsy, and even though the bin take that, they do lose their demo and they could get a repush. Chris actually in the back lines distracting some players, and that does give an opportunity for Smeary to command his team forward. And Pappy going forwards onto Ubers and Mookie manages to pick up Mookie and his sentry. And yeah, it's not looking too great. It's not looking too great.
No, not at all. I mean, there's a couple bad things that can happen when you're pushing into a point. You know, you can get forced early, you could lose your demo man to a quick pick, you could let a player get in behind, and all three of those things happened as the bin tried to push into the second point. So, I mean, now they've got Ubers in behind, and they should know he's back there. I believe that, yeah, they're looking for him, and he'll probably get spotted out. maybe he can make something crazy happen in a situation like this, but more likely he's just kind of wasting time, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Champagne's only a 45% Uber charge, but and he gets a frag for it anyways, so Uber is a decent flank.
But Samsy kind of trapped. He went for a hero shot, gets picked up by Ubers as well, but Ratslayer actually fighting people on the point, trying to stop players. But wait, why is the entire of the bin behind Swift? When did that happen? They're going straight onto point. They take off the Uber and they just need to stack. But no, the back cap from the entire of Swift, but Champagne super low, manages to get saved though by Mookie on the engineer. But that was nuts. I don't know how it ended up with the teams in the positions they were.
Cardinal is a map.
Yeah, it is a map, but I think, yeah, I agree with you. I don't think there's much more we can say.
No, I think that about sums it up how that situation came to be.
Chris
now
on
pushing
Champagne
forward, yeah, with him getting taken down. Mookie's still an engineer as well in the back lines. Mr. Epic's the frag on a Chris though, and now they're fighting on this middle point. Mr. Epic in a lot of trouble, will get taken down by Crafty as he runs back, and Mookie about to do the biggest engineer flank of the game, coming around now. He hasn't been spotted yet. Although, did Smear see that? I believe he did. He's with Ubers as well.
He hasn't come off engineer and he manages to get Samsy. I don't know what Mookie's doing, but I'm more concerned at the fact it's kind of working. Like this engineer play he's been doing for the last part has kind of been working for his team, which is really strange. But not too much. Is only Mr. Epic and Champagne are left alive. Champagne only has a small amount of Uber, so it is all an advantage for Swift, and they're straight up. They just don't really want to stop. They managed to pick up some players. Uber's going down. The Uber has come off. So much for the word Uber there. And Mr. Epic kind of stopping players. Gets picked up by Samsy in the end, and that's the second round. Not as convincing, though, as the last map, Cornpop.
No, there was a lot of weird back and forth plays. You know, we went all the way back to Swift second. We didn't quite see their last, but you're right. It's been very slow 9-minute 2-0, but it's been a very back and forth 2-0 so far.
Yep, and we're on this third mid, and I'm kind of far away. What's happening? Tell me.
Well, Smear's managed to get here before everybody else. Got a little bit of point time as well, but the rest of the team are now here, and they're fighting. They got a lot of damage down onto Pred, forced him all the way back. Ratslayer is the first player to go down. That's a demo man, not who you want to lose. Mr. Epic cleaned up as well. Mookie, the engineer, his gun goes down, but he's pushing forward. He's a frag on a Chris as well. Not super effective. It's only Champagne and a teleporter still on this middle fight. Champagne thrown way up into the air and won't get air shot. Crafty steals that away.
Really, really unfortunate. Like, I don't know how I feel about Mookie playing engineer right now.
I don't think it's that good.
It's not that good, but he's still managing to get kills with it whilst the rest of his team is struggling. It's kind of it's kind of crazy. I guess he's just assuming that they're going to be pushed all the way to last and just wants to get things set up straight away. And the right push has come out of Swift, and they're straight onto Mr. Epic, seeing if they can take down that demo. They managed to pick him up as well as the gun. But the repush coming back out of the respawners for the bin, and they managed to clear off players off the points. Only Puppy left, and that was a nice little defend. They focused their men, and they managed to get it all in advantage for themselves.
And I was about to say that everything Mookie's done on Engineer could have probably been done on Scout. He's mostly just shooting people with a shotgun. But on that last hole, the Mini Sentry actually did quite a bit of damage down onto the last player on that point. And now Mookie's just getting so aggressive. If he gets the med pick here, oh, he's so close, but he's not going to be able to get it. Connor's so low. Yeah, there is a spy as well who's managed to back off. He hasn't revealed himself just yet. But with Samsy getting taken down by Pred over on this middle fight, there's so much hectic fighting. Pred does get cleaned up in the end. Chris on the spy way behind everybody, and Crafty's back there as well. Meanwhile, the rest of the players are fighting over on this middle point after Crafty gets the frag on the Ubers. That's 2 in behind if you include the spy. Here comes Chris, now going to be joining the fight, uncloaking, but the Uber charge was popped off, so he's kind of useless at this point. They're going to get Crafty with that Uber charge. Ratslayer gets that one, and they'll probably get Poppy as well. However, it is a trade. Ratslayer hits him with that bottle. And Champagne is all alone capping this middle point. And
Chris gets the backstab without failing this time, and he manages to help pick up Mr. Epic as well. But Mookie again on that engineer tries to pick up a player, ends up going down, and Mr. Epic went in a bit too aggressive, I think, and he should have just stayed with the med rather than forcing the med to cap it. I think that's why they lost Champagne to Chris there.
Yeah, you probably, even when you think it's safe, you don't want to leave your medic alone because you never know when there's a spy hiding right in behind who's about to come back and stab your medic. So here we see, I mean, already pushing in on the last point is 100% advantage for Connor. Chris is still on spy, and is he, you know, he's still pretty far back, but you know, he looks like
he's watching Ubers. Ubers is
yes, I see.
Pretty much a mid right now, and he has got three players that are all kind of distracted by him. Whilst Smire and Connor are actually going to last, so that's really not too great. It's only 3 players on last, and still Pappy, now Samzi are just kind of still behind, not coming in until the last second. But it don't matter. Only Pred really in a good position. Mon chasing down Connor, seeing if we can get him. Connor staying alive, ends up getting picked up by Mookie. But Samzi, so much time on the point, gets picked up by Pred though. And it's very messy last, and I think, yep, the bin is safe now.
Having only 3 players defending last is a risky strategy, but when the enemy team does literally nothing with the Uber charge, it can work. So, I mean, we see the family business once again coming out from Pred, getting the frag onto Chris, so still running that, and I mean, the heavy does get taken down. We'll see if he keeps on with that class or if he goes back to scout. But
it was 3 pushing on last as well, so it wasn't too detrimental. But Champagne actually pops out Uber, manages to pick up Smire with Mookie just getting kills on Engineer still. It still kind of stuns me that he hasn't switched off. And they're trying to wrap around players. Ubers gets picked off, not before picking up Samzi though. And another player bombs in, Pappy gets picked up by the sentry. And it looks like the bin can actually push into mid here and maybe pick up some players. Okay, I got really confused then. Really confused. No crits. That was Mookie's Frontier Justice.
Yeah. Alright, well that...
I was hearing crit sounds and freaking the hell out.
Yeah, me too.
Like, Smire was in such a good spot if he had crits. But they do have a little bit of an Uber ride, and they want to take this forward onto mid, maybe get an exchange. But they're getting wrapped around again. The same thing that happened to the bin is now happening to Swift, but they're reacting much better. They managed to force Champagne. She tries to get out, which she does really nicely, but she does sacrifice maybe bin it to this Uber that's coming straight in onto the second point. But Rastler trying to get out, manages to die sadly, and Ubers goes down as well. So, Champagne
just made the great escape. I mean, surfed pretty much across 3 points and then finished it off with an Uber saw. That's not too bad at all. Of course, a lot of the team dies in the midst of that. And Connor ended up getting a frag onto Pred, and now she's all alone on mid and will once again escape? Question mark? She's doing a wraparound.
She appreciate the effort. She wanted to trade with Connor there. That would have been hilarious if she got it. But
she does some things up for Ubers who managed to do the exact same to get 3 frags with it. So that worked pretty well in the end by the medic player.
It's just all these angles players can come from is absolutely nuts. Pred's going down to Samzi there, and not a huge advantage for Champagne as Connor just come up. Connor actually, Champagne not healing too much, so they're going to be equal. So it's all about how they build up in the prelude to this. If any advantage is going to come out of it, but I don't think there will be. Oh, I got a little bit of server lag there.
Yeah, me too. Hopefully that is just a little one-time thing. Regardless, it is pretty much even Uber charges, and I'm hoping this is a pause and not more lag. Oof, we're just gonna have to live with it.
We have a bit of a technical server issues at the moment.
Not a lot we can do about it. Let's just keep going. Looks like the players are fine just playing with it. They probably aren't affected by it. It's probably just an STV issue, hopefully. Chris kind of hiding, and 1v1 with Mookie the engineer, and Mookie will win that one, but finally Samzi comes in and makes it at least a trade. But he dies as well, so not super affected by him. Ratslayer going down. It's just trading 1-for-1 back and forth, leads us to a 4-on-4 situation. Pred on that family business heavy. Now the last push is starting to come out. They're thinking about it. They've managed to work in Crafty, and he's managed to actually get out as well after getting the frag. The assist onto Ubers, so now that just leaves a couple of players still pushing in the last, with Pride getting taken down by those stickies, not expecting that. They're working this in slowly, and they have popped off on the Smear. The counter pop comes out from Champagne, but nobody really in trouble. Thrown way up in the air is Connor. Is he going to be in trouble, able to escape? That's kind of the question in a situation like this. Looks like everybody's sort of backing off now that their own Uber charge is faded. Mr. Epic goes down, trading with Chris, the sniper player, and Smear's getting some time on point. Ubers needs to come back and stop that, but he doesn't have a whole lot of teammates. Throw it up in the air, and that's going to be allow a lot of point time, and that finally will make it a 3-0 game.
Really nice free push from Swift there. Like, they knew that the exchange was going in their favor, and they just started the repush, and it really worked really well from them because they just separated players from each other, picked up some, but nice last attempt. There was a pause.
Okay.
So that there was multiple pauses.
So yeah, there was no real server lag. It was just the players trolling.
Okay. And
looks like Swift haven't showed up to mid.
No, not at all. I think the pauses affected them. So
I think you're right.
They're just gonna hold second, not come to the midpoint. But Champagne gets caught out. Really unfortunate. Chris picking her up. But Smira and Chris go down as well. So it's not looking too great for the bin. Only Mookie and Mr. Epic left. Maybe Mookie can just pull some madness once again. And his sentry dealing a lot of damage, but it's going to get cleaned up. And yeah, Mr. Epic in the backline is looking to maybe try and get something onto Connor. Although he's going for the back cap. But Smire and Chris are coming to maybe clean him up. But Uber's going for the stop. But gets instantly ahead denied. And not able to do anything. Now Champagne's super low. Bit overextended on that left-hand side. And Pred gets picked up, and now Champagne is all alone on second.
Swift in a good position to probably get their 4th round on the board in a situation like this. Champagne gets taken down by Crafty, making it even more likely. There goes Rat Slayer in the gun as well. Connor did have to pop to the, I believe that was the Engineer Force from Mookie. I mean, they did get the frag on him, and they got a couple others sort of scattered around the place, so it's not the end of the world. They're going to throw in Poppy way up high, and he hits a direct rocket on the Ubers. Alright, now we see Pred trying to defend on this last point, but it's not going to happen. This will be the points. 4-0
That was so messy.
Yeah, only one more to finish off the game for Swift.
Yeah, the Engineer. It was fun. Yeah.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, like I think it would be better if maybe, you know, if he wants to go crazy, just whack him on that heavy. I could see that being very interesting. But I don't necessarily see this being too much. He has put a teleporter up, which I don't know if he's done before, so that could be a nice little quick respawn for a player. Chris going in for a really big bomb onto Pred, manages to pick him up, and I think the target was Champagne, but it doesn't matter. And, a lot of aggression coming out of Ubers. Ubers gets picked up, Mr. Epic down as well. That's 3, that's 4, that's Champagne down. Only Mookie left, his last stand. And he's in the background, setting up another mini-sentry, just being as annoying as possible.
Yeah, his buildings haven't really contributed a whole lot. A teleporter will actually manage to get a heavy who instantly dies. That is Pride getting taken down. He has put that teleporter before, but I believe every single time Swift had won the mid super dominantly and just pushed forward and killed the teleporter. So I think that was the first time it was actually used. Not super effective though. And he's still back there, you know, building away, having a good time playing TF2. Meanwhile, his last point's about to get capped, though.
Yeah.
Nobody's back here.
And there's so many players onto the point. What? Who? Okay.
Welcome to Cardinal, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, yeah, that happened. Swift, congratulations, taking the second map as well. Commiserations to the bin. Really unfortunate for them. And, yeah, I guess, shall we do a very brief look at? I just want to see how Mookie did. That's
okay,
what I want to see on the logs. Let's just talk about Mookie's logs.
Fine with me. If that's all we're gonna look at, then okay.
Okay, so how effective was Mookie? Okay, 240 DPM, 15, 8 to 20. I'm just going to make those noises again that I make when I'm just feeling very uncomfortable about a situation. Like, maybe Mookie could have played something else?
Yes, no, I agree with every noise that you've just made.
Okay.
That pretty much wraps it up, I think.
Yeah, but alongside that, it's actually more of a game for Crafty, this one. 32 kills and 8 deaths. That's pretty damn good. And Samira again doing some decent damage. Crafty actually taking up the top damage spot. I didn't see as much from Chris as the previous map. Like, Chris was going ham on Gully, not so much here, but it was extremely messy. Like, players were behind, whole teams were behind each other at one point. It was crazy. Saying that, Champagne and Connor not too far apart on this one. Also, sorry, my housemates are currently building something. That's why you had the weird noises.
Taking after Mookie, I see.
Yeah. They got inspired to build stuff. But yeah, Connor and Champagne not too different in their stats as in regards to deaths. It was 10 to 5 in advantage to Connor. But did I say Champagne and Mookie? I think I said Champagne. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, Ubers not so drastically different, but still very much Connor having a lot more Ubers. One drop from Champagne as well. And yeah, it's just messy. It was just very one-sided, and I can't say too much about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's always that case if you get a 5-0, especially when the other team was using an engineer for most of the game and a heavy for part of it as well. It's rough. It's always rough.
Well, if I have a quick look, I believe we've got people who can join us for some interviews.
Yes, I think so. It looks like Samir and Samzy are ready to talk about this brilliant game.
Hello, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Okay, and from the top, so everyone knows your voices, we're joined by Smire.
Hello.
And Samzy.
Hey.
Well, how are you doing, gentlemen? How do you feel after taking those 2 maps?
I don't know, man. It was kind of painful to play Cardinal, but I guess I feel good.
Yeah, winning is nice. Playing Cardinal is...
Don't we have one more week of Cardinal?
Yes, against
Thanks
7.
God for that.
Against 7?
Yeah, Cardinal and Product. It's gonna be amazing.
Oh god, they're 2 careful maps. But kind of moving forward on this week, like, so previously you had Ascent, and before that you had, what was the team before? Because I remember Velocity. So you had 2 relatively powerful teams. The Bin, old Low Panda roster. How did you guys feel kind of coming into this after kind of your win against Ascent?
Coming into this map, or this match?
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of a neutral roster of the Bin, since we had Pred on Scout. Crafty is a great player, so we kind of expected it to win quite convincingly. It got kind of messy, but everything went according to expectation in the end.
Well, it seemed like you guys were extremely strong and prevalent, especially on Gullywash. Like, Samzy, you had some really good moments on Sniper where you just you picked your angles perfectly and managed to get some really crucial kills. Like, kind of moving forward against the other teams, how do you feel? Like, I saw you went for some hero shots as well. Was that just for the fun of it, or is that generally something you kind of rely on?
Just for the fun of it. Like, I never hit those, so I'm not gonna go for these against a good team, I guess. It's just not worth it, I don't think.
But just kind of pulling on something you just mentioned earlier, Smire, messy, like, especially on Cardinal. So this is the first time you've had an we've officially seen Cardinal on ETF2L. Like, coming out of this game, are there some things you want to change? Are there obviously you can't give us all your tips and tricks and ideas, but
with my team.
Well, with the with how you're playing Cardinal, like, are you going to go into the next week with a very similar playstyle, or are you going to adjust a couple of things?
Well, I think our playstyle gonna remain the same, but our problem today was people not really communicating in our pushes. So we rushed a lot of things, and people just kept on feeding. I mean, I think we just underestimated our opponents a bit, but this cannot happen against 7 if we're gonna win it. So I'd say just more structured.
Yeah, let's be honest though, like next week is gonna be the last week that Cardinal is gonna be played. And I don't think it will remain in for future seasons anyways. I think putting a lot of time into like threads or mids or something is also just not worth your time. I mean, if people want to actually pick it in playoffs, fair enough, I guess, but I don't think it will, because like most of the Prem teams already have put out their concerns about the map and how awful it actually plays, so yeah.
One of my biggest concerns is the blue spawn versus red spawn difference.
Yep.
Like the whole fact that the blue team spawn more on the left than the red team that spawn more on the right, and most teams like to roll out, right side through like the valley arch area. So that's kind of like that can really. I know it doesn't seem like too much, but that's like a 3 seconds
that's a
different.
second at least.
Well, yeah, for you guys it's like a second. For middies like me, it's like 3 to 4 seconds. But
like I completely agree with you though. Like a second can matter. Like I think on one mid, Smirk got so fast to me, it just killed like Benny before it was like even there.
Yeah.
So I think that definitely matters. But I think a bigger problem of this map is actually like the amount of completely unnecessary rooms. Like there's just so many like choky points and rooms that are connecting other rooms with different rooms. And they just don't make any sense, really. But yeah, as I said, it's going to be played one more week and then it's gone. Bye bye.
Well, we'll stop the bashing of poor old Cardinal here, and we'll move on to next week's map. So product. So how have you guys been doing in scrims? Do you feel confident against a team like 7?
We have not played it yet, so it remains to be seen.
But
I think we can take it, because like 7 has been pretty weak on it from what I've seen, and it's like a map they don't really play much, but we really don't know.
Yeah, it will be interesting. Like that product's definitely a map where upsets can happen. Like going into the season, like who did you think your biggest threats are so far? Like. From playing, would you say Ascent felt like much of a threat, or were they quite easy to pull apart?
Easy.
I only see
no
7 as a
offense to these guys, but only 7 is like the real threat. I mean, other teams obviously can have like good games as well, and I'm not like trying to boost us above them. But I think like the only real threat that like will probably constantly beat you is just 7.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to, aim to beat usurp 7 from their win last season. So I think that's kind of the most important thing for yourselves, is kind of focusing on taking down the big boys. If you can have a really confident game and maybe take some maps off 7, or take all the maps off 7, do you feel like that would be like a surefire sort of run to the finish line for you guys?
Definitely not. Because in playoffs, people get to ban maps, and if we actually manage to like grind out, let's say Cardinal against it, for example, they will just like insta ban it, or like product. So that map is already gone, and I feel like 7 has so much experience and such a deep map pool in that sense that it's just really hard to like actually win a best of 3 against them. Like in a best of 1, sure, everything can happen, but best of 3s or even best of 5s are just like right now at least too far off a stretch, I think.
All right. Anything else you want to add on that, Spiri?
Not really.
Not really. Okay. Well, I don't have many other questions to ask. I think we covered a fair few things. Cornpop, do you have anything you want to ask these fine gentlemen?
No, you actually hit every single one of my questions that I was thinking of. So, great job, and congrats to Swift for winning.
Yes.
All right, well, what we'll do is we'll wrap things up then. So we'll go with shout-outs. So first off, Smiri, you got any shout-outs?
Yeah, shout out to Gustav, Vilma, and Jakob. Some of my in real life friends.
Wicked. And Samzi?
Yeah, shout out to my team, shout out for the production crew, and you guys casting it, obviously. Shout out to Ipsy, who's just popping up in chat right now. And yeah, that's it.
All right, Cornpop, you got anyone you want to give a holler to?
I do actually. Shout out to Trevor Tabs for scheduling me on this European game. Shout out to GrumpyKoi for the cast. I thought it was really well. And shout out to Beater for doing last minute production when he thought he was going to cast this, and then I jumped in instead because we didn't have a producer. And if anybody's a fan of watching even more TF2, starting in about 6 hours and 20 minutes, you can watch the North American teams, New Godflow versus Ascent on TF2V1, and then TF Crew versus Black Swan on TF2V2. If you're going to be awake in 6 hours and 20 minutes, I recommend checking those out.
Wonderful. And finally, I just got a couple of shout outs. Shout outs